Stinky Tofu Club.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Stinky Tofu Club. We're continuing with our theme of romantic relationships today, and really the focus will be on school romance versus not real romance, but maybe romance once you've left school. And so let me paint a bit of this picture for you, right? When you're in school, you have different priorities. You're younger, you don't have as much responsibilities, and you might not be thinking about the same things as you do once you've left school. And so this is really the focus of today's episode, kind of talking about who you were and how you approached relationships while you were in school, and then afterwards how that may or may not have changed once you've left school. And so I think a good place to start would probably be a bit of insight about what we were like when we were actually in school, and then afterwards some of our different shall we say approaches to romance as well as ideals towards romance. Gabe, you want to start us off?
I can start. Okay, so I can start us off. Young Gabe in high school Gabe. Okay, this guy is, I would say, young high school Gabe. I was the type of guy that would have people that I would like, but because it's like I see myself quite as an extroverted person, so I have no problems meeting with new people and talking to everybody. But then when it comes to like people that I'm interested in, I always think a lot before I approach. So I would like overthink about, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try this. By the time I go and do something about it, I've already hyped it up so much in my own head where the feeling of like if a feeling of it failing, I wouldn't be able to deal with. So then I end up like being really weird and awkward. Right? So I don't have much. So based on that, it's clear I don't have much success.
Yep.
But it was a lot of me trying to be. My approach was, let me be really good friends with this person first. Break down that barrier of like, I like this person. Like, trying to approach as let's just be friends. So then I don't put this person on too high of a pedestal where I freak out too much, and then slowly, ideally, I hope romance is built, but that doesn't happen all the time.
That's passive as fuck, dude.
That is, it's passive. It's the long game, the terrible game. But I always played the long game because I'm just not that type of person. It's like, okay, I want this, I'm gonna go get it.
Okay, so question for you,
too
right?
Passive, right?
High school you, Ryan Higo was still big. Was nice guys like your anthem?
Oh, absolutely. after each break up, because we were never together, but maybe rejection, or it's like, every time I hear like, Gabe, I'm seeing this new guy, or this guy is so cute. Fucking this song plays immediately, right there on my iPod. I'm like, and then I feel like I'm in like a music video, you know. So yeah, very common. Definitely was the guy who was like, okay, I really like this girl. We become really close, really good friends, but it wouldn't go past that. I think it's my fault. Like I always kind of make myself become that role too well. And then I see a lot of different approaches. It's like, if I have no intention to be your friend, if it's not this, then it's not the friendship. Then I don't even want to get to know you. But like my approach is like, I want to be friendly. I want to know who you are, and hopefully something can blossom from this. So like very old fashioned and very long game. So that's me in high school. Yeah. All right, we can jump to you guys, and then
Rose. What about you?
Yeah.
In high school, I would say I think I was a little bit more aggressive than I am actually now.
Okay.
Tell us more.
So I think that was actually how I like kind of got my first boyfriend. Like I was always like getting myself out there. Like we weren't even friends. But then like I found him kind of cute. So then that's what I kept like trying to like find ways to like interact with him, or like find ways to like talk to him like on Snapchat at that time. And then I would like purposely like try to like get him on my Snapchat best friend list.
Yeah, so that's really good because we're talking about fondest memories. I wanted to bring that up eventually too, but having your crush number one
On your best friend
Snapchat.
list. Yeah.
Oh
And
my
if you're their
God.
number one too, that was like
Hold on. Are we talking about yellow heart or red heart?
the double heart. The double
Yeah,
heart is
oh,
2
double
months.
heart.
Yeah,
I forgot
double
about
heart
the
was 2
double
months.
heart.
Yeah,
Okay.
the double heart.
It was like the
It's
double
like-
pink heart. That was 2 months. And I think the red heart was 2 weeks, was it? I can't remember.
I forget the
but-
durations, but I know double heart. If you didn't change the emojis, it's like the highest, right? And it's
Yeah.
like also like another way of saying like we're exclusive now. And everyone kind of
Everyone can
this
see.
is a thing, right? So if people ask like, who's on your best friends list, and you see this guy's name or this girl's name, you're like, oh okay, I see. And there's a lot of people I know back in my old school, like they'd be like, I'm gonna take that spot. Like certain like really pitchy people, or like if they are interested in the same people, like oh, I'm gonna take this spot, you know. So it's funny that you bring Snapchat up. But sorry, I interrupted. Keep going.
No, but yeah, that was like high school Rose. I was like, I think I was more aggressive, and then like after university, I just kind of became
Mellowed
a little, yeah. But that was only like grade 11 or 12. I think I would say like in like from grade 8 to 10 at least. Like even though I had crushes, I didn't really like approach them that aggressively. I think in grade 11, 12, it was just because my friends, they kept encouraging me. And then I had like mutual friends with this guy. So then, yeah, I felt like, okay, sure, why not? Kind of. Yeah.
And what about you, Henry? What was young Henry like?
I don't know. I think like really young Henry was the kind of guy that would pick on girls. You know, in like the anime or like TV shows, and then you have that guy that picks on girls to get close to them, or like that's just how they
Like the
flirt.
bully?
Kind of.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like the role of
like you know 流星花园, and then there's how he's kind of like mean to her the whole time.
You're-
That was
So
kind of
for those who don't know Chinese, Henry is talking about this drama called Meteor Garden. There's also like
Yes.
another like Korean drama that's like I think it's based on the same story. It's called Boys Over Flowers. Yeah, that's what Henry is talking about.
I think they're all based
Yeah.
off of some Japanese book or novel. I think that's what it was all based off of. I could be wrong. Anyway, so it was that, and then
So what were some of your tactics? And I like when you tried to get that attention, you know? Stealing certain things.
okay, Vancouver natives will know this. Playland has, or P&E has Fright Nights, I think. Basically, it's like your local Halloween event at whatever nearest amusement park. And so that would always be good because you have like your haunted houses and whatnot. So it's very typical that way. Other times it'll be like banter, you know, when you roast someone and then they can dish it, they can take it and they can also
And
dish
then
it
you
back.
dish it back.
Yeah,
That's a special
I
type
feel
of
like
relationship.
that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a
So
special relationship.
that was in there as well. And then halfway through high school, I kind of just became depressed and like fell out of love or didn't believe in love anymore after a breakup. Not really didn't believe in love, but it was more so I just wasn't ready for another relationship for the longest time. And so I spent multiple years just not really liking anyone, not really doing anything. Yeah.
But from the sound of it, it sounds like from like high school, you were already experiencing what a serious relationship is like, right? And you was just like
kind
you weren't
of
ready for another one of these yet, because like with your high school relationship, it was, I would say it's quite serious.
But
Did a
out of
lot.
curiosity,
Experienced
like
a
how
lot.
long was your high school relationship?
It wasn't
you
even
don't
a
mind
year. I
sharing.
mean, it was close to it, but not even. So
Mhm.
I guess in high school it was long, but grand scheme of things, it was
yeah.
just really short. But I
But
think
serious
what
in
that-
terms of like we're exclusive. This is you and her, right? And then
it's
you
not like a
share
2-week
deep
fling
stuff.
kind of thing.
No,
and then,
exactly,
Hey, this
yeah.
person's my girlfriend or boyfriend. That
Yeah.
kind of
You
thing.
probably opened up a lot with this person.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So it's stuff like this. Yeah.
It taught me a lot about who I was as well, and I would say she helped me grow a lot as well and grow to become a better person. There was still a lot more growth that was needed after that relationship, which is why that ended. But yeah, I would say
But I
it
think
was
it's
more like a long-term perspective, or at least like serious about each other, as opposed to something that was like a short-term fling.
But I think I guess it's also kind of good that you got to experience that earlier.
I mean,
Maybe that's why
I mean, you get
you're
to
more
learn.
mature.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why you're more mature.
That's why you get to be a lot more mature in terms of being in a relationship and what you bring to the table and what
Kind
it
of.
is.
Kind of. And the
what
reason
the
I say kind
ideal
of,
healthy relationship looks like. In quotes, because this is subjective.
kind of as well. I'm gonna reply kind of as well because it was more like that relationship taught me how to be more gentleman-like because I realized I was a brat. But more so in regards to so to answer the question about like a more mature relationship and a healthy relationship, I feel like I learned that with my current partner, and so that's why I say kind of, because there's still more growth to be had in like the beginnings of this relationship as well. And so I wouldn't say it necessarily set me up for everything, but it kind of set expectations, I would say,
Yeah.
as well as helped me understand what kind of emotional support I'm looking for in a partner and things like that. Yep.
You talk about expectations, and we also talked a little bit about dramas, right? So
Yeah.
I'm gonna tie that back and blame that for the reason why I turned out the way I did during high school, because I watched too much of these dramas. It's definitely not my fault. It's definitely drama's fault. Okay, definitely not me. Okay, no, 50,
Not because you're a flawed being whatsoever. You're
exactly.
perfect.
Just not because I'm
Perfect.
flawed or shy or got all these insecurities. It's definitely because I watched too much drama. Yes, delusional. Where like I always believe like, oh, if you can establish this, so like this delusion of like, oh, if you can establish this scenario where it's kind of like you guys are like you and her against everyone else, type of relationship, but not defined as a romantic relationship. Romantic relationship then later on is built upon this. That's like the mindset I kind of carried when I was younger, and yes, it's very wrong. It's flawed, but I couldn't help it, right? I didn't have an experience of dating, so I was like, okay, if I could develop this deep friendship with this person, become very vulnerable with this person, it becomes like, oh, look at these two, they're so close as friends. Later on, something, and that's often the plot of certain these dramas, right?
I mean, it's not wrong though, because
I don't think it.
if you can't even be good friends with that person, how could you? Because I think, knowing what I know now, vulnerability is so important to a relationship, and I feel like that's something that I didn't really achieve when I was younger, right? And so you think you're vulnerable, or you think you're opening up to the other person, but there's layers to it, right? Like if you think of it like an onion, when you're peeling through the layers, you've only gone through maybe layers 1 and 2, or like just skin deep, or maybe just below skin deep, and then there's still so much more to you, as well as whether like traumas or different expectations, things like that you subconsciously have that you're maybe not conscious of or verbally expressing. And then what that means is there's always this layer of expectations that aren't being communicated, or you're like, hey, this person just doesn't get me, or why can't this person do this or that? And some of it is because your expectations are too high, or you're expecting the wrong things, right? And then afterwards you're asking for things that you can't reasonably expect out of someone.
Yeah. So then, is it naive to say like, oh, if you ever meet somebody and they tell you, what is your type, right? And then they list all this, should you be saying like how specific your type is? Because there are scenarios where like you like this person a lot, you hear what their type is, you try to be this person, but inherently that's not you, and you can only like act for so long until your true personality comes out, and then both parties very disappointed.
Yeah.
So I think that's such a hard line, right? Because of course, when you meet somebody, you talk about what you should talk about your expectations. Let people know, right? So they're not going in blindly. But sometimes
think
when you're so in
What
lust,
drives that is when you're in school, whether it's, I don't know how young our viewers are, but anyways, as they go through school and then all the way up to, let's say, university, because you're on
Mhm.
campus and then you kind of have this locked micro environment, right? Your pool of, or your selection pool is so small, right? So the number of
Yeah.
people that you meet and interact with. So in psychology, there's this thing called the proximity effect. And what that means is you are more likely to end up with someone that is closer to you, right? Or someone that you have more interactions with. And so the internet has kind of broken this down a little bit, because before the proximity effect, you could actually like label it on a map, right? But now you could be interacting through like games, Discord, FaceTime, whatever.
Yes.
And so that's still proximity. Basically, think about how often, the frequency of your interactions with that person,
Mhm.
and then afterwards, that makes you more inclined to like that individual and develop strong romantic feelings for that individual, right? And so when you're in school, the pool of individuals that you can choose from is very limited to like this tight micro environment
Yeah.
where, because of that limited selection of people that you might want to pursue, right? You change yourself in a certain way so that you are more appealing to that individual, right? So let me walk you through a scenario, right? Let's say you have a list of 50 people of the opposite gender or of the same gender, whatever you're into, right? And then afterwards, you can only like 3 are appealing to you, right? If only 3 are appealing to you and you want one of those 3, then you may change some aspects of yourself so that you get that person that you're looking for, right? But if you expand that environment into, say, like the entire city or like 100-mile radius, right? Or even greater if you're willing to do long distance relationships. And so then that pool of like 50 people becomes 100, 1,000, 100,000, whatever that number may be for you. And so once that number expands completely, you're suddenly able to choose or get access to more individuals that are
Appealing to
more
you.
similar
Yeah.
or like a better fit for you, right? Meaning you like them for who they are and they like you for who you are, as opposed to just you liking them and them not really liking you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I will say though, I think something that I see in a lot of friends is that adult dating is like basically everything, all expectation wise, right, is everything you had when you were a teenager, right? So it's like you want to be wooed, you want some guy to pick you up for dinner with roses, or like you want him to pick you up from the airport and then you'll like run and then jump into his arms and then hug him that way.
That's like such a K-drama scene.
Yeah, corny stuff like that, right? But also at the same time, then you add all of the like lifestyle stuff that you have, and so it's like this guy's or girl's got to be rich, and then they gotta be, I don't know, like look like a model, and then afterwards you'll meet the parents, and then maybe you'll have an ex where it's you hated their parents and you hated their family, and so then that's tacked on as well. Okay, I gotta love their family. Their family's gotta be like this, like that, and then afterwards, all of these other things, right? While at the same time, because you don't have that same proximity effect, right? Unless you're dating within, I guess, within your team at work, but I'm not sure if I would fully recommend that. That's just my personal opinion. But anyhow, because then you lose that proximity effect, right? You're also not being vulnerable and you don't really know the other person as well. And so you're basically walking in on the first date with a whole list of requirements where it's, I'm going to list off some stereotypical ones, right? They got to be like 6 foot, or like they got to have the biggest chest, or they got to make like 7 figures and then be able to fly you out private everywhere while never
God
working.
damn.
And then afterwards being able to spend 18 hours a day with you, right? While maintaining like this like 6-pack abs and then a huge chest, and then afterwards they can squat like 3 plates while driving a
Where's
Lamborghini
this
or whatever.
man?
And so
Wow.
you walk in with all of those crazy criteria, right?
Mhm.
It was a little bit exaggerated, but you walk in with all of that criteria, and then afterwards you don't open up anything about yourself, right? You don't open, and then the other person doesn't open up either. You never establish that emotional connection, and at the same time, right? Let's say you do end up together, right? There's no deep emotional connection yet, but you do end up together because that emotional connection isn't there, and you're just checking off the boxes, right?
Yeah.
You end up feeling unsatisfied within that relationship because you don't have that emotional support and satisfaction that a lot of people do.
Or like
end
you
up
just
looking for.
get that dopamine effect for the first full month because yes, he checks off those like materialistic surface level stuff until you try to form that deep connection and you realize it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
And then you realize you're just dating like a walking bank or like a statue.
but we don't judge
A really nice
people.
statue, but
Yeah, very nice looking statue. Easy on the eyes.
yeah. So I think
Yeah.
that's my biggest rant, where adult dating is really just the same as dating when you were in school, but with additional criteria that kind of doesn't matter. I mean, some of it does. Like, if they're like a gambler, like a gambling addict, and then they're in chronic debt all the time, that will have very real implications, right? But I don't know, man. I think people gotta ask themselves: are they being vulnerable and actually forming a connection? And also, does all of the criteria that they're looking for actually matter to them, right? Like if somebody's 5'1" and they're saying the other person has to be 6 foot versus and like isn't really somebody that they vibe with or bond with, but they're 6 foot, so they're checking the boxes, versus someone who's like 5'9", 5'8", and still checks and is a better fit for them on an emotional level, right? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I wanted to also add, because you talked about adult dating, right? I wanted to add my perspective to it, and I want to hear what you guys think, right? So
Okay.
for me, I'm doing some self-reflecting and looking back. I've just realized that me growing up, like when I was younger in high school, my concept and my approach was like very much, oh, this person's the one, and I would often think like that. And it's like, oh, like whatever I feel for this person, I will never feel for anyone else. Like this person makes me feel A, B, and C. She's so special. I put her on a pedestal, right? Until now, now that finished school, right? We're much older, and looking around what my friends are doing stuff, I realized, and this is gonna sound very like general, but like dating's almost like shopping. It's just it's okay to try this, like try this, don't like it, move on, try this. It's very casual, and I'm seeing that around me, right? Not saying casual is like, oh, like I'm not talking about being exclusive, not exclusive. I'm just saying like it's okay to be like, oh, I'm gonna try this, be with this person for a little bit, not feeling it. All right, next person, right? And then that is something that I have not been able to grasp my mind around. I'm still kind of trapped in like, oh, wherever I feel, whatever I feel for this person right now, I won't feel it for anyone else. So my focus is on this person, instead of like, hey, let's try this dating pool, which is, I think this is the healthy way, and what adult dating is like compared to high school. So that is my biggest difference.
I will
What do you
say
guys
I like the romantic aspect of that though.
Which part? No, I feel like that will come later.
Where you put your all into one relationship, and then afterwards, or like one person, and then you try to make that work, right? As opposed to just, because ultimately I think it'll be a balance, but essentially what you're doing is you're screening a bunch of individuals.
Yeah.
Right? Is essentially what you're doing. You're screening a bunch of individuals before you commit. and then afterwards, then what you're saying is like once you commit, right? That's what comes later. That's when you go all in on one individual, and then you build that relationship, right? And then, well, what if you end up stuck in that screening phase? Right.
Yeah.
So you're just
So you're
just
constantly seeing new
screening
people.
everyone, and then you're
Yeah.
only going skin deep, right? And
Yeah.
so then you never truly understand a person, and you also never truly form a connection.
Well, then I'll say this, right? Given this scenario,
Yeah.
I'm going to propose another one. And which one would you guys rather be in? Because they both suck, okay? Would you rather scenario A, what you mentioned, or scenario B, where you're just madly in love with this one person that you might never feel this, like they may never reciprocate, but you're unable to move on. You're just like, oh, like you want to move on, try out, screen other people, but it's almost like you have no interest in the other people because maybe A, she hasn't really fully rejected you. Like there's that sliver of hope, right? That's what really is the. But okay, A and B. So like because of hope, right? It pulls you back in. Yeah, basically because of hope, it pulls you back in. You haven't really gotten rejected yet. This person maybe isn't seeing other people, so then you're trapped in this kind of loop, in this cycle, in this dance with this person. So then, which one would you prefer? Not being able to form all that stuff with other people, or be madly in love with one and just get hurt?
I think I would choose the first one.
First one, just I don't want any pain. I don't want to know anybody. So I'm just gonna like be just screen people one at a time, and that way no one can hurt me.
I mean, like I feel like if you're like getting hurt all the time, like at one point, like you're gonna break down, right? And I'd rather not have to like go through that. I feel like it's personally, I think like it's better if you're like what you're saying, like screening through people like continuously, and then just waiting until you can find that one person, I guess.
Yeah, I would say 1, 2, because 2 sucks. 2 fucking sucks, and if you experienced it, you know.
I think statistically speaking and logically speaking, 1 makes a lot more sense where you're continually screening through people, right? And I think ultimately speaking, if you go through enough people, right, you will end up vibing with more than just one person.
Yeah.
And you will end up loving more than like the possibility of falling in love with this person, right? That number is greater than 1. So like there's more than one potential candidate.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think that's logically speaking though, right? I think
once you throw in
more people than not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the majority here, but I'm saying it's not like a very small minority, right? I'm saying there are people that will end up into, and it's not really by, I guess it's technically by choice, but anyhow, that's kind of just where their emotions led them to, and that's how they ended up in the second scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like as biggest difference with adult, it's maybe...
I feel like everyone's been a simp at least once in their life. So... Gabe's saying he's never been a simp. He's always a champ.
No, I don't.
Gabe is saying he's still a simp.
No, see, I don't agree with that term, right? Because I feel like...
Do you not agree with the term, or do you not agree with how people have defined that term?
Yeah, I don't like the way people have defined that term. Because maybe call it naive, call it maybe I'm a hopeless romantic, but like if you are quote unquote in love with a person, shouldn't you? It's like this is how you feel, and then you will act and do certain ways. I'm not saying to like be at this person's beck and call or like do XYZ. Like don't diminish your pride, but because you care and love this person, you want to. You will do what you can for this person. And I just think that makes sense. So yes, maybe people will call it simp. People will be like, oh, this guy just doesn't want to be called a simp. Call it what it is. I just don't see it as simp. I just think this word's been twisted and it's like become a bigger umbrella.
Right, and so that's why I said it's the definition that I don't agree with, as opposed to the word, because nowadays it's almost as if you're
It's
romantic
like seen
at all,
negative. It's
or
seen
if
as
you really
negative.
care for a person and then afterwards you express that care for them, you're suddenly
Yeah.
a simp,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
it's
yeah.
viewed in a negative light. That's stupid. I think that's one, you're never gonna form that connection, and two, you're kind of just a dick.
I'm just saying. Then it's like, okay, then you really never cared or loved this person to begin with. Even though you that's what you say to like entice this person to love you back.
If you don't have a life of your own and then you're just like hugging their ankle the whole time, right? Or if you have something really important and then afterwards that should really take priority, such as like something happened to a family member and then afterwards they just called you because they're bored and they want to hang out and then you're popping off to go see them, that's a simp and you need to get your priorities right. But if it's like anything romantic, like you're putting a lot of effort into a date, right? And you know that the other person will appreciate it. I don't think that's simping per
Yeah,
se.
that's definitely not.
Yeah.
It's just
So
you're just doing something to show that you appreciate them or like you love them or whatever, right?
Like this is how I feel about you. I'm gonna show you by doing X, Y, and Z. That could be through whatever love languages that you use, you know? Yeah.
And so, knowing all of these things that we've talked about, right? So, different expectations, culturally, people saying that like being romantic is simping and it's viewed in a negative light, or just constantly screening for other people. Has romance and like dating life become what's the word I'm looking for? I guess less romantic, or like it's less enticing to you now. It's just less special. Do you guys feel that way?
I do think
I don't know. I'm solid in a relationship, so I haven't dated anyone.
See,
I mean, I am dating someone. It's just I'm not rotating through something.
You're not rotating. Good.
Yeah,
Yes.
you shouldn't be.
You should. Good. But less enticing. Yeah, because it goes back to like my mindset, right? I'm still very much like hopeless romantic in a way. Like if I feel this, my mindset. Oh, I feel this person. Feel for whatever I feel for this person. I will never feel. Even though statistically not true, but like I'm a more emotional person, so I'm like I will never feel like this for someone else. And you talk about it with your friends, and you talk, and they're just like, bro, like what are you talking about? Like that's so unhealthy. Like there's so many people out there, and it almost is like makes it less of a serious thing. Looking for a partner, right? Almost like a game. A game that I do not know how to play.
It does kind of sound that way.
Right. I mean,
But
it is a game.
Even as a hopeless romantic, right? You still have to find someone. Well, you don't have to, but if you want to, right, you have to then go through like a couple of individuals before you find someone that you're willing to commit to, right? And so, how does a hopeless romantic like you go through dating in the adult world?
You get hurt until you find the one. Because non-hopeless romantic would be like, okay.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
I can see
like,
that.
That's
like
true.
a non-hopeless romantic would be like, hey, okay, it's not working out. All right, next. Or like, just go out.
Thank you,
Go
next.
out there. Yeah. Thank you, next energy, right? Thank you, next.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, strong. Want to be like that? Not there yet. But what it is you get hurt until okay, you get hurt. All right, and then you move on. Instead of those that can realize it first and be like, okay, then let me move on.
I'm very curious as to I mean, you could probably do this if you took census data from your country and then afterwards you plotted it out. So you get the age that most people marry at, because theoretically, right? Okay, based off of, I don't remember what the divorce rates are now, but basically divorce rates are somewhere around 50%, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so, but what that means is, as a single individual, your pool past a certain age will diminish by around 50%, right? Because a whole bunch of people are
Or will-
staying married.
Yeah.
And so I wonder what the distribution looks like for age that people get married at, because eventually your selection pool will get smaller and smaller and smaller, right? And so I'm curious about that, and then if anybody would feel, I don't know, maybe stressed at that thought, because in Chinese culture,
I didn't before now, man. Goddamn. Well, I didn't before you start putting math into my head. I'm like, oh, he kind of what he's saying kind of makes
this
sense.
notion, right? Of
I already got enough stuff to be
shenman.
in denial about. Now I gotta think about this.
I mean, well, okay, so in Chinese culture, there's like this notion of like shen nu shen nan, right? Where it's like if you're past like 27 or 28, you're basically what, or like definitely past your 30s. It's basically like they
like
basically
you have
call
to be married
leftovers.
before your 30s, basically.
You're basically called leftovers if you're not
Yeah.
married by 30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so sounds kind of bad, but I wonder if 30 is like that actual cutoff, right? Or if it's very different. I mean, I guess this would depend on culture, because if there's this notion that once you're older than 30 and you're not married yet, then you're considered leftovers in Chinese culture, then most people probably get married before 30, and then you probably have some sort of like Gaussian distribution centered around like, I don't know, 26 or 27, something like that, before you get that title. And so I don't know. That's just.
I think that's really interesting. I think it's definitely cultural, like heavily based on culture, because I think in Western culture, compared to like Eastern, here in the West, it's like normal to put maybe career first, and then marriage, family way after. Whereas West, they really much care about passing down, like having passing down your genes.
Right.
Having grandchildren.
But eventually you will hit
down.
that number where where your dating pool has strongly diminished.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then I think
I feel like it's not just like dependent on culture. I feel like also like religions, like there are like certain religions where like people like they want to get married earlier, right? Yeah, like I have like a couple Christian friends, like classmates from high school, like they're already married right now. Yeah.
Just married or married with kids and then they're raising a family already?
There's like I know like 2 people who are like married and the one that's like married with kids. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And they're around our age too, so.
Respect. And so, okay, I don't know how much detail of their mentality that you have insight to, but when they were looking for their partner then, since they have kids already or they're starting a family soon, right? Did they look for different qualities than somebody that might be more inclined to like have kids later on in their life?
You
So
mean
say
like
if-
the people I
like-
know, or
Yeah, so like if their goal was to have a family earlier on, did they look for more parental qualities in the other person as opposed to just more so about like how can they where it's all just about them, right?
Actually, I'm not really sure, but I know like the people like they all started dating really early on, like probably like halfway through high school maybe, and then like
Okay.
is there like probably like their 6 or 7 year into their relationship, and then
Gotcha.
I think that like because the relationship's been so long, they probably think like, oh, it's time to get married, like so that's why they got married.
Okay.
And also probably like they can see each other being like the parental figures in their family too, right?
Oh, I can't even think about all that next level
I mean,
stuff.
I don't even
Oh my
want to
God.
think about marriage right now.
Just boyfriend first or girlfriend first, please.
Have your perspective changed from school to now, Rose?
In terms of like
Yeah, dating. Your
Dating.
view of dating.
I feel like Rose, being the kleptomaniac that she is, has always just looked for rich men.
The kleptomaniac that she is.
Cause then rich men get to like buy more things, and then she can steal more stuff. You know.
no, actually no, that's not the case. I'm looking for a tall man. I look for tall men. I don't care about
actually
rich
true.
men.
You just care about tall men at this
I
point.
can pay for things myself. But
Mm.
I mean, I can't. I need someone that's tall, right? Because I am tall.
What if you just buy them like one of those sole inserts where it's like 3 inches or something like that?
But that's only if they have their shoes on.
Well, then just make sure if they don't have their shoes on that you always sit down.
He can never
Or
walk
like,
into
oh,
the
I
threshold
got it,
of
I got
an
it, I got
Asian
it.
home because he can't
I-
take his shoes
He
off.
has to,
No, no,
he
no,
has to keep his
So-
shoes on.
Exactly, like date a Caucasian person.
Or
Because they wear
carry
shoes at
around
home.
those hella
Or some
thick
of them.
foams,
Or he has to
foam
carry
slides.
around like the he has
So
to
you
carry
can
around
walk them out.
slides.
Yeah, so you can wear them in the Asian house. They'll be like,
Hey,
oh,
to be
good, he
fair-
brings his own slippers. That's good.
Those thick foam slides are really, really comfortable.
No, they're good. Yeah,
I'm
and
just
they give
saying.
you they give you hella inches.
Yes.
But that's
Yeah.
something I don't need.
Yeah, well, okay, for the viewers that don't know, Rose is somewhere around like 5'9"-ish, 5'10", and then her brother and her dad are like 6'3", 6'5", and so
Yeah.
Rose will
Tall
have to
family.
find like the next handful of Chinese NBA players or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, there's just something like when you're so used to like at home, you're so used to like looking up to like your brother, and like,
When you look down,
when you look down at the same height, you just feel really weird.
you just look down on men. You're like,
Back,
pathetic,
yeah, my God,
pathetic.
I'm kind of hurt. I didn't think it was malintent when she looks at me. Like I thought Rose was just looking. Now I know in her
No,
mind.
no.
She's just
No,
like,
like, when
She
someone
doesn't
you're
even see you as a man. She
Small.
sees you as a little boy.
No,
Yeah.
like when you see someone you like want to be interested in, right? I want to be able to look up at them because I'm just so used to looking.
As
up at
opposed to
home.
what? Their dandruff?
Yeah, I don't want to see like the top of their head.
That's
Sorry,
crazy.
Gabe.
That's hey, what the fuck? I don't need that.
Are you saying Gabe's got dandruff? Oh,
Yeah, that name drop is crazy. It's okay. My one is out there.
Yeah,
She's out there.
your one is waiting
Or
to be
he.
screened.
Or
Mm,
they.
yeah. So I think for me, until I can change the mentality in myself, I can start looking at dating apps and all that stuff. Because of like the way I think, like I just think, oh, there's no point in using dating apps. There's no point in meeting other people, and I limit myself. I close off all these great opportunities. Like rationally, I'm like, I know. But I'm too freaking emotional. Get it together, you big fat crybaby.
Sorry. I'm just imagining you like super
me
liking someone, and
every
then
day.
afterwards you find out they didn't like you, and then you're just crying in the corner. I don't
Oh
know.
man, that's high school
Has that happened to
game,
you?
man. You want to hear? My God, do you want to get into this? This is
Okay.
some
Let's
deep
close out
stories.
with story time, and then yeah, let's go.
Add one more story. So I'm gonna say this. Okay. Throughout my lifetime, where I've started having feeling for girls, and through that whole when that phase started, I have lost the girl that I like to a friend of mine each time. So yes, I've experienced that, a lot of heartbreaks, and it's sad. But
Can I
yeah,
ask you a question?
go ahead.
Have you ever considered being a tour guide as a career choice?
A tour guide?
Wait,
Yeah. Why did I say guide? Why?
Because people sign up for your tour, and then you
Oh,
just
and then
show
they
them
find
the
love,
sites,
right?
And then
Yeah.
they pick their like favorite one,
There you go.
right?
I help the girls that I like find love. There you go.
You're the Cupid for them.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good way to put it.
That's the best gift you gave them.
But yes, so
you
that
gave them happiness. They just didn't find it within you,
Mhm.
but they found
Yeah.
it because of you.
Yeah. And then like
That's
yeah,
so fucking sad. Hold on.
no, it's cool, bro. Man, it's cool. This is what happened. This is what happened in the past, and friendships were not ruined because like I said, this is like it's very emotional. Like if my friends develop, if I like this girl, there must be some other people that like it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like that in that frame, I'm very rational, and if it happens to be a friend, good, great, you know. So go ahead, I'll step back. But yes, so when you
hand
talk
motion
about
was just really funny.
yeah, I'll step back. So yeah, in conclusion, yes, there's been some nights like this growing up. Not so much after high school, and now I'm like in the middle, just like being rational, try to be more rational, and yeah, be normal in my approach.
But less passive, and then fighting for them if you really like them.
Yeah, exactly. Just being normal. Just be normal. Mm-hmm. There's one particular I remember quite fondly. It was like this was I think like a summer camp that I attended, and really liked this girl. We were a group of 5 or 6. Really liked this girl, and then what sucks is like near the end of camp. I'm just gonna skip forwards. When we were eating in the cafeteria, I could see like this girl and this guy getting really close together, and like I thought, I was like, I thought maybe we're just. It makes sense as the summer's getting close. We're all getting closer as friends. In the cafeteria, whereas we're all eating, I go down and tie my shoe, and I look up, and they were holding hands underneath
under the table.
Oh fuck, man, that killed me. I wanted to throw up all my food. Oh my god, so like, it was like a punch in the stomach. Like, and then it wasn't a scenario. I've had other scenarios where like friends come up to me like, I also like this person. Like, all right, dope.
Yeah.
But this wasn't one of those cases. So I was like, oh fuck, this really hurts.
Did the friend
Like,
know?
you just
Did
didn't
that guy
expect it at
know?
all.
Or
Yeah. So then, honestly, because of all of this that's happened, I've become really cautious about who I tell my feelings to. Really, like I don't really tell a lot of people who I like anymore. Yeah, because of this trauma. But yeah, so I look up, they're holding hands, and immediately like really, really heartbroken. So I just grabbed my stuff and I left. Didn't really talk to anybody. And what can you say, right? You can't. I can't force them not to. There's nothing I can do until I will figure
get
out.
over it yourself.
Get over it yourself, and that's exactly what I did. I get hurt, I move on.
Of the limited audience that we have, if somebody wants to protect Gabe as opposed to hurt him, you can. Should we have like a sign up box in the DMs or something like that? And then there's like a sign up message, something like we could post a little blurb. It's like, I blank name wish to blah blah blah, something along the lines of love, protect.
Please don't hurt me anymore.
That sounds psychotic.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we've learned today is that dating is hard. People get hurt, but go meet people, and then don't be afraid to be vulnerable.
I wanted to ask, right? What is the biggest romantic gesture you guys did, maybe during school, and then after? And maybe this I can apply for Henry, like being in a real relationship. Is your approach the same? Maybe is it more I'm just curious, because if it's maybe more childish in your high school, maybe it's funny. I would like to hear it. But what are some of the big romantic gestures you guys pulled off?
I would say probably like the biggest romantic gesture I pulled off was like buying a concert ticket for my ex.
Wait, this was in uni or high school?
You're rich as
Uni
fuck.
and
Yeah,
uni.
like, oh my god. No wonder he doesn't need a rich daddy. He needs a tall daddy, not a rich daddy.
But the funny thing is, I bought the concert ticket, and now like the concert was in Toronto, so we had to like travel to Toronto. We stayed with at my friends, but then on like the we also like they're like literally we had to pay for like Uber and all those stuff. All those stuff were paid by him, so he actually paid more than me.
Oh, the travel expense and living expense, eating.
So like I paid for the concert, and I took care of like our living, like accommodation, but everything else he paid for. So he actually spent more than me. But yeah, but I think that was like the biggest.
What did you guys go see?
88 Rising.
that was fun.
That's a good gift.
That is a really good gift. Oh, okay, nice.
Okay.
What about you, Henry?
My romantic gesture isn't something I did because I wasn't very romantic. But it was something my ex did, which was there was a box of letters, and then afterwards within each letter was like, or within each envelope was like a letter for open when you're feeling this and that and whatever, and that was actually pretty nice. And so around that time, my house actually burned down. Funny story. So my apartment complex was on fire, and then we had to move elsewhere. Anyhow, and so that actually helped me get through some of those rough patches. So I think that was a very romantic and nice gesture. And then now, I think it's less so one-off romantic gestures, and it's more so just showing that I care throughout. And so things like she, like my partner, she almost never opens the car door on her own unless she's getting off the car, right? So it's always car doors open for her, holding doors, things like that. And then occasionally cooking for her, things like that. You know, so I think it's more so like an accumulation of small romantic gestures nowadays, as opposed to big one-off events.
I think that's the thing is, if you don't if you go into a relationship and not having that, oh, this guy is supposed to do all these are all my expectations, then these can be romantic gestures. Doesn't have to be grand. And then you get to really appreciate what this guy is really doing for you, all the little small stuff, to the like holding the door, cooking dinner. Once
Not even that, just like not eating all of the chips and then leaving them.
Honestly, like all the
they know you really like
that.
those chips.
Exactly. I agree. Those are all really like romantic, and I think you should find somebody that will appreciate those and not take those for granted. Then what you deem romantic, because you're doing it to show how much you love her, she will receive it and acknowledge it as a romantic gesture. Or else, if they don't appreciate it, they will claim this person is not romantic, never does anything for me, and then you will feel very unappreciated. You're like, what do you mean? This is my way of showing my love to you through XYZ. So make sure you're valued and appreciated in your relationships, and let your partner know that this is how I show my love to you, and not through. Does have to be through grand gestures. So I like that point a lot. Yeah.
So that was about high school dating, and then also dating as an adult. And ultimately, I think really it's just be vulnerable, find someone that accepts you for who you are and loves you for who you are. And I hope you found that special someone soon. See you next time, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay up to date on all things Stinky Tofu Club by following us on Instagram and TikTok at Stinky Tofu Club. And full episodes of our podcast can be found on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts at Stinky Tofu Club. Catch you next time. Bye.